how to get out of the blame game. Hey guys, my name is Danny and I'm your life and relationship coach. And we are talking about the blame game. How do we get out of it, right? And this is actually something that can be very difficult to navigate if you have not invested the time in trying to acquire the skills to do it. And it's something that happens quite often in relationships, right? There's a breakdown in communication, there's an emotional disconnect between partners, there are issues that are unresolved, and we fall into the cycle of blaming one another. And when we get into that place, right, when we feel the need to blame our partners instead of taking accountability for our actions, it's very difficult to get out of. It just kind of just becomes a merry-go-round. And if you are in that current cycle, then you can relate emotionally to me saying it's a merry-go-round. It just feels like it never ends. So how do we start the process of getting out of the blame game, right? So one of the first things that I always tell my clients in our one-on-one coaching sessions, I see this all the time with couples, and it's really identifying what the issue is. So if we are looking at it from a surface level, it can be very difficult to try to resolve the issue, but you have to take a step back and look at what the root is. What is the real issue here? So here's an example. If you've been in a relationship for a long period of time, or maybe even a short period of time, and you struggle with communication and understanding each other on an emotional level, if one of your pet peeves is dishes in the sink and your partner leaves dishes in the sink, right? And they just don't seem to get it. And you start to get upset, you start to get frustrated, you start yelling at them, and then you start to get into a cycle of blame, right? So you do this every single time. This is your fault. You're not paying attention. And then your partner repeats to you, well, no, it's not a big deal. Why are you getting so angry with me? The reason why, we never resolve anything is because you start yelling at me. And it just becomes this cycle back and forth. But the reality of the situation is that dish in the sink represents something else. It's not about the dish in the sink, right? It's the lack of support. It's the feeling of not being understood. It's the feeling of being disrespected because your partner isn't consciously making the decision or the effort to try to not leave the dish in the sink, right? And once we're able to strip it back and say, okay, this is what the actual issue is, you can actually start to resolve it. You can actually start to have an open dialogue and come to an understanding of what the issue is and how to move past it, right? The second one is active listening. Communicating with each other and resolving issues isn't just about talking at each other. I so often find that people have a tendency of talking at each other instead of with each other. And the difference is when you speak with each other, one person is listening and one person is speaking, and then you switch, so that both people have the space and the floor to be able to express themselves and feel like they are being listened to, understood. But that requires you to actively listen. And what does listening involve, right? Active listening involves you being engaged in the conversation, making eye contact with your partner, being open to receiving the information, right? Because body language plays a big role in communicating with somebody. If your arms are crossed, if you're not really looking at your partner, if you're looking around the room, if you're rolling your eyes, those are all physical cues that tells your partner you are not interested in the conversation, and that can be incredibly dismissive. So being open, being ready to receive information and to give information as well. There are nonverbal and verbal cues, right? So nodding your head in agreement, or maybe you're not agreeing with them and you're letting them know through physical cues. Verbal cues like saying, yes, I understand, okay. Letting your partner know that you're engaged, and then repeating what they are saying to you so they feel like you are understanding the information, right? So again, a big part of this is actively listening and being able to reiterate the information to your partner for clarity so that you have a better understanding and they feel like you are engaged and involved in the conversation. The third one is just exercising patience and empathy, right? Patience is a big part of this. And if you struggle with patience, you're going to struggle to actually be able to listen to your partner and understand them. So how do you start to practice patience? It's really something that you have to do on a daily basis, and you have to consciously make the effort to do it. So if you start to feel that kind of anxiety feeling, that frustration feeling start to bubble up when you're conversing with your partner, take a step back, take a few breaths. If you have to step away from the conversation, that is okay. Do it so that you can come down off of that emotional high that you're currently on, negative emotional high. But the important part here is that you communicate that with your partner. You say, you know what? I'm having a moment. I'm really upset right now. I'm going to step away and then I will come back so we can finish the conversation. And having that mutual understanding that that is going to be necessary until you are able to actually start to resolve conflict, until you are able to actually exercise patience. And empathy is another part of it, right? Putting yourself in your partner's shoes. So viewing it from a different perspective. If you are unable to view things from a different perspective, that's more of a self-development thing that you need to work on yourself. And again, I work with clients all the time on this, and this is something that's crucial and important in the development of a healthy relationship. So if you struggle with this, I'd be more than happy to support you through that. But we also have products that help you through that process. I've created a self-awareness training. I've created a communication training, and they're all on the product section of the website. And I highly recommend you guys going and checking those things out, because I promise you it will change the dynamic of your relationship. It'll change how you view things. It'll change how you approach situations, and it will only benefit you in the long run. So go check those products out and really invest the time in developing yourself so that you are able to have a healthy and successful relationship, and you can actually start to solve issues and not get stuck in the blame game. The fourth one is a mindset thing, right? So consciously choose to stop. If you find yourself in a blame game, if you find yourself feeling the need to constantly defend yourself, stop. Stop talking. Listen and see what your partner has to say. Because the moment you decide to do that, the moment you shift that dynamic, the moment that you stop arguing back, it is going to be a surprise for your partner. And what that will actually do is it will disarm your partner. Because when you're in a cycle of blame, your partner is already expecting you to shoot it right back to them. So because they're expecting that, their walls are up, their guard is up. But if you change the dynamic, if you consciously say to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to blame her. I'm not going to blame him. I'm not going to engage in this type of negative conversation. It already automatically disarms your partner, because that's not what they're expecting, and they actually feel like they're able to get a word in edgewise. So just consciously make the decision to stop. The last and final piece of this is forgive your partner, right? Oftentimes, the reason why we get into a blame game is because we feel like we aren't getting our point across. We feel like we aren't being understood. We feel like we're at a disadvantage. And the thing that I hear the most often is that's not fair, right? If you're using that, you are 100% in a blame game. And it really takes patience and empathy and an understanding to be able to take a step back and say, you know what? I'm going to forgive my partner. I'm going to forgive myself for some of the things that I have done. But that also requires taking accountability for your actions. If you are unable to take accountability for your piece of the puzzle, how do you expect your partner to take accountability for theirs? So, taking accountability, forgiving yourself, forgiving your partner, those are all pieces to the puzzle that you have to put together in order to get the whole puzzle, in order to get out of the cycle of blame. Now, there are a multitude of different other things that you can start to do, but these are the most common ones that I have utilized with clients that we have seen the best results in, and you can actually start to apply them practically quickly. So after watching this video, I highly recommend and I advise trying to apply these and seeing if you see a shift in the dynamic, And if you're still struggling, by all means, reach out to one of us, reach out to one of the coaches, because we can give you a little bit more detail. We can strategically plan with you, and we can say, okay, this is how we're going to approach your situation, because every circumstance, every situation is different. If you guys like this video, if you're related to this video, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below. I love having open dialogue with people, so leave your questions down below. If you want to add something, I'd be more than happy to read through them, because I read through all of the comments. Maybe you just want some more detail, right? You want to know a little bit more. You can find more information on our website at www.happilycommitted.com. And if you want to book a one-on-one coaching session with myself or any of the other amazing coaches, you can also do that directly through the website. Again, my name is Danny. I'm your life and relationship coach. I hope you guys are staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you guys soon.